Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of The Grandstand here on the Ohio Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I'm, as always, your host, Air, the Ohio Patriot. And for today's episode, we're going to talk about why leftist trolls have shown, yet again, why they can't debate for shit, and why they will never actually debate us properly, is what it is. Because they really have nothing, is what it is at the end of the day. So last night I was actually on Twitter/X, and you had people obviously talking about issue 2. Here's what it is, and how you had the statute happening, and it was people basically like that one guy was bitching about like, oh yeah, typical GOP trying to fuck over all the voters, and I kind of called him out as what it was about, yeah, not do Democrats and the gun control they keep trying to push every single day is what it is here, and then you had this other idiot who was clearly a fucking troll from the jump. You can basically tell that just from the name alone. Start to engage me. And usually what'll happen in this situation is I'll sit there and I'll engage for like a single tweet or whatever the case be, is basically a statement is what it is. And then I'll usually block people is what it is after the fact, because there's really no reason to debate these people anymore is what it is, dude. Like, I would say 99% of the time they're either straight up trolls or they're NPCs or something else for that matter. And they're going to have no facts, no knowledge, no nothing. What they're going to have is they're basically going to have a parroted fucking response from the mainstream media most of the time. It'll be some regurgitation bullshit or something like that's what it is. And it's the same tired ass tropes is what it is. There's no reason to really engage with these people at all, because you're never going to change their minds. They're already some leftist nut job who's so ingrained into being anti-gun or pro-democrat or whatever it is. Most of those things could be the same thing as well for that matter at any given time. But yeah, you're never going to change them. You're never going to change their mindset. There's no reason to really debate them is what it is, dude, at all. And it's honestly why the left themselves can't debate for shit, because they are so hardcore indoctrinated into their own ideologies that they won't actually admit the truth when the truth comes about. And so they'll sit there and they'll try to like troll you basically and be like, oh, but what about this thing and this thing? It's all like pro-2A stuff is what it is. And then they end up in a situation where they actually find somebody like myself who actually can debate their asses legitimately, and we fucking destroy them is what it is. And we bring the receipts with it, by the way, for that matter. And that's the one thing, and this is the one thing I've realized lately for a while now. And it's these people who, it goes back to the movie Watchmen, and it's that one line that Rorschach says at the very beginning of the movie, where he's talking about the cities and stuff like that, and it's like full of retarded children. And he's right about that, honestly, dude. And I feel like more and more today, we are seeing that entire thing come about. And it makes sense. I was actually having this conversation yesterday with the woman who was taking me on to my appointment yesterday, and we were discussing, the lack of math, reading, writing, etc. in these schools nowadays for Gen Z or Alpha, or whatever they want to call themselves now, is what it is. And it was basically dumbing down kids is what it is there. And she's like, yeah, it's scary. And I'm just like, and I think it's by design. And I really do believe it's by design, honestly, at this point, dude, is you have these kids that are basically, like Oregon specifically. You have, I believe it was Tina Kotex, who's the current governor there. I'm not sure. I think I said pronounce her name anyway. But I know her first name was Tina. I don't know about pronouncing of the last name or whatever the case be. But yeah, she basically took over for that idiot Kate Brown. You had Kate Brown when she was still in place, basically pushing for laws that would not allow for proficiency testing to graduate. So you have kids that are, high school age graduates, 17, 18 years old, not having to pass the basics of math, reading, writing, etc., to actually get a fucking diploma, which is insane, by the way. Like, isn't literacy legitimately, like, a thing that needs to be proven at this point in history? I mean, for God's sakes, like, what the fuck are you doing? And then it makes sense when you realize what they're doing. What they're doing actually is they're trying to create a 100% voter base for decades to come is what it is. And that's the whole point, dude. It's dumbing down a voter base to basically idiocracy. Like legitimately introducing idiocracy into real life is what it is. That movie Idiocracy back in 2035, something like that is what it was. But yeah, it's them trying to do that. in the modern society is what it is. And it makes sense. And the sad part is it's actually working in a lot of cases. And then you wonder why you have, massive spikes in crime and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, dude, when you have people who are fucking illiterate, who can't read, can't write, can't do anything is what it is. Can't get a job, obviously, because they don't know how to do these things. Like, basic skill sets is what it is. And then you understand, like, why they've now chosen a life of crime. And it's like, because it's the only fucking choice they really have at the end of the day is what it is. So, yeah, it just bothers the hell out of me, honestly. But anyway, so going back to what I was saying, though, earlier. So, yeah, you had this dude, this Nick guy, who was mentioning about, typical GOP denying will of voters and stuff like that. I mentioned this whole thing to him, and then it spawned from there as what it was with the other person. Which could have been his like troll account, or it could have been something else for that matter as well. And who the fuck knows anymore? It's hard to say, man, because that's the problem with people, dude. They'll come on there and they'll just do dumb shit is what it is. So I do like to talk about the stuff. That's what it is, though. So you had us say, I said wrong, actually. Voters voted for, because he was talking about like the whole like amendment and stuff like that. I was like, wrong, actually. Voters voted for a statute that could be amended / altered, and now you are learning the consequences firsthand. Also, if you want to talk about the will of the people, when talk about people, talk about the will of the people, talk about Dems trying to steal gun rights every single day, to which this idiot that goes by Fakey McFakerson said, in what specific ways are these evil Democrats attempting to take away your guns? And then I said, literally every single anti-gun piece of legislation that's been introduced in the General Assembly since 2018 or 2019, which is true, by the way. You look at every piece of legislation that I've been fighting against right now for the past 4 years, and other people like me fight against for the past 4 years, dude. You had legitimately 3 days after Dayton, people, 3 days. 3 days after a mass murder spree by some leftist piece of shit that can be proven to be Antifa and BLM affiliated at this point in history, you had Allison Russo and another civil Democrat in the state house at the time pushing for all. By the way, every single piece of legislation they were pushing for was all Bloomberg and Moms Demand Action created. It was red flag laws, universal background checks, magazine bans, etc., etc. at the time. Since then, going forward to 2021, which was a new General Assembly, you had them pushing for the same bullshit. And then they added some stuff to it as well. Now, fast forward 2 more years to the current General Assembly here in 2023, going into 2024 right now. You have them not only go for all this crap, now they're going for safe storage laws. Now they're going for 10-day waiting periods most recently. And it's like, enough is a fucking enough, honestly, dude. And that's the problem right now. And, what's interesting to me, honestly, is like looking at these people, looking at specifically this account here that I, let go because I didn't think about blocking them as what it was at the time or whatever. So you have this dumb motherfucker a few hours ago responded back to me under the network moniker there and was all like, the legislation that doesn't allow open carry, or the legislation that doesn't require a concealed carry permit, when is the mass gun confiscation going to be taking place? Or are you actually just a whiny crybaby who doesn't have shit to complain about? You just enjoy whining. And I said, no, actually, we're talking about the red flag laws, universal background check, mag bans, 10-day waiting period, safe storage laws, and other fucking garbage you asshole Democrats support. And that's when I fucking blocked them. Because I will have the last say on that kind of shit. Every single time, dude. Because there's no reason to talk to him after that, dude. And again, you want to talk about whiny crybabies, dude. You're the only one bitching and moaning about this shit. That's the thing, too. You fuck, like, that's the thing, bro. Like, I literally simply said something as a fact of the matter to somebody else. Your fucking asshole-ish ass comes in there and tries to fucking start shit, dude. You injected yourself into a conversation you weren't part of, douchebag. And that's why I fucking hate these people so much, dude. Because it's the same shit with everything else, and that's the thing, too, right? Like, you could actually have, like, every time I see different things happening at little rallies and stuff like that is what it is there, or various other events like that, like similar things like that is what it is, protests, whatever you call them there. So you'll have 2 people on supposedly opposite sides of the aisle is what it is. One of them's Republican or right-leaning, whatever it is there. One of them is a Democrat or, like, left-leaning and stuff like that. And you'll have these 2 individuals actually want to have a conversation with each other, And they'll sit there and they'll, begin debating, begin talking, whatever you want to call it there. And, actually come to some common ground, or at least begin to come to some common ground. Meanwhile, you always have the fucking turn in the punch bowl, the Antifa type, the BLM type, etc. You guys know what I'm talking about. The far left douchebags is what this dude, who will come up in there and try to start shit with both sides is what it is. Because they love to fucking stir the goddamn pot is what it is. And that's exactly what this motherfucker is right here, dude. It's exactly why they use some fucking troll ass name like that for their username. Because they know they're a fucking troll, dude. They know they're a fucking little piece of shit. They know they have no fucking actual wherewithal at all. They know they have no actual opinions on anything is what it is. And they just want to start shit is what it is. And I guarantee you, if you look behind the actual person that was behind that fucking account, probably, it's probably like some fucking 14-year-old kid or something like that. Or it might even be an adult for that matter. Who the fuck knows? It could be some like 20, 30, 40-year-old adult for all the fuck I know, dude, is what it is. Which honestly wouldn't surprise me either, because again, when you look at like I said earlier, when you look at most of these people anymore, at least half of them are retarded children at this point, dude. They're retarded toddlers that should be treated as such right now. Their mental capacity is that of like a 3 to 5-year-old, honestly. And that's generously speaking, by the way. I think it's more like, baby to 1.5-year-old, honestly. So, yeah, it's not very much, dude. They have legitimately next to no brain capacity at all is what it is. And the entire problem is when you're giving them the time of day, when you're even interacting with them, it does nothing in the long run but show how fucking stupid they are, and basically allows for you to call them out on shit, to bring the facts, to bring the knowledge, etc. there. And, you can basically leave them fucking stunned is what it is. And I'm sure this person's going to try to respond to me that I blocked them and stuff like that. I don't give a fuck, honestly. Because truthfully, like, again, this kind of degenerate shit like this does nothing for me. It does nothing for the advancement of where I'm at, which is basically protecting the Second Amendment for people that want to hear in Ohio. All it does is drag us further down into stupidity is what it is, where eventually it's going to be something being said, and then they're going to try to report us or something is what it is then. So that's why we'll call them out right now and just be done with it, dude. It's like, yeah, fuck you, go away now kind of thing is what it is then. We're bringing the facts, we're bringing the knowledge, we're, smacking you down hard, and then we're calling you out for being an asshole is what it is, dude. And that's the problem right there. And this is what I've said many times in this country. This is why voting rights do not need to be by default anymore in this country's history anymore. Because you have people who have shown time and again why they should never have voting rights in this nation. You have these retarded ass leftist people who will vote for the most garbage fucking candidate possible on the ballot at that time, instead of actually voting for any other party or any other candidate that could be better, honestly. Like, they'll find the biggest piece of shit on the ballot and be like, click, yep, good to go. And I'm not going to sit here and say that Republicans don't have some of that too as well. I think we do, honestly. And that's really the problem with the two-party system in a nutshell right there, honestly. And that's why I've said many times, dude, like, it's bullshit that you have so many of these state houses pushing forward legislation that basically fucks people over at having a real actual functioning constitutional republic is what it is, with multiple parties besides Democrat and Republican. Because if we had a true system right now in place, I believe you would see state houses across this country where they would have a small caucus of Democrats, like a very small one in many cases. You'd have about the same size, maybe a little bit bigger of Republicans, depending on how, reddish the state, I guess, is there. And then you'd have the majority of the state houses actually be other parties, whether it be Libertarian, Green Party, independent people, Constitution Party, Communist Party, Socialist Party, whatever they want to call themselves at that point. And you would have these small caucuses across the board is what it is. And you would actually have a true representation of what would be a constitutional republic with a Democrat voting process, which is exactly what we've been since 1776 in this country. When you had, men being given the ability to actually vote, here's what it is. And then eventually you had, over the decades and the centuries, you had minorities be given the right to vote in some capacity, and then you had women get the right to vote in some capacity, and then of course it was Civil Rights Act of the '60s and stuff like that is where you actually had everybody get it by default at 18 years old is what it is. Which I think honestly, if the Martin Luther King types and stuff like that of the time knew it was going to be decades later, they'd be like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't be doing this kind of thing, honestly, or at least not to the thing that they were trying to do is what it is. Because that's the thing with Martin Luther King Jr., right? That guy was pretty smart, actually. He had the decency to know what was going on. He had the knowledge to know what was going on, what it was. And, he was pushing the whole, like, I have a dream thing, everything else like that. And the whole, men being created equal and all that shit like that. And it's true, by the way. And it's funny to me, too, that the whole, people always talk about, like, men created equal and stuff like that. They never mention women, by the way. They only mention men. And it makes sense logically because, again, when you start breaking stuff down by gender, you realize that when you have chicks running on emotion, when you have them doing, like, all kinds of other shit like that is what it is. And by the way, it's interesting, too, for that matter, when you go back to the gun control debate and stuff like that, because you look at these people who are always pushing this stuff, and it's almost always some bitch, dude. It's almost always some fucking female, usually with the Democrat next to her name is what it is, that are the ones pushing this stuff. And then, of course, they get their male colleagues involved, whether it be at a state level or federal level, whatever the case be, and they're just acting like whiny-ass bitches, too. And that's the thing, too, by the way. It's funny to me that person there on Twitter was like, oh, yeah, I want to cry about it, or whatever the case be. And it's like, the only ones crying are fucking Democrats, dude, because they're losing every fucking time is what it is. And I've said this before. I said this the last couple weeks, actually. You have had more 2A wins in the past 2 to 3 weeks right now than we've seen in the past several years, honestly. You've had the pistol brace shit, had the injunction happen on that one, where it was basically a stay on that whole thing, where you can now have braces again. Supreme Court's going to rule on that, hopefully at some point here, to make sure it actually stays in place as it would be then. You have standard capacity magazines, the ban on those being deemed unconstitutional now. And for those wondering what standard capacity is, it's anything at that point, honestly, that you want to call it standard capacity. And that's how it should be. I don't care if you want to, like, usually what it refers to is like 30 rounds or so. But technically, if you want to go standard capacity, it could be anything from, a 50 round drum mag to 100 round drum mag to 200 round drum mag could be standard capacity, honestly. It depends on what I want it to be, honestly. So, and that's the whole point entirely. But I think what they were really talking about was like standard AR mags that hold 30 rounds or so, and them is what it is. Because that's what Democrats love to try to ban all the time. Is what it is. It's what they tried to ban in California for decades now, down to 10 rounds and stuff like that. And the thing that's fucked up too, by the way, is like, you have these people who will do that kind of garbage shit like that, and be just oath breaking sacks of crap in general. And at the same time, you will have other individuals come out of the woodwork who are criminals incentivized by this stuff, who don't give a fuck about laws. They don't give a fuck about actual, breaking of laws and stuff like that. And so they'll sit there and they'll have, their 50 round drum, their 100 round drum, 33 round stick and a Glock mag with a fucking switch on the back of it, etc. there. And they'll be doing all kinds of criminal shit, dude. They'll be just having the gun that they have in the configuration they have in an anti-gun state like that, like California, whatever the case be. They're committing multiple felonies at once, dude. Is what it is. And even in, a free state like Ohio here, they're still committing at least one felony because they have that Glock switch, which is illegal to have, is what it is. Because it's actually mimicking full auto is what it is there. And that's the problem too right now is, these people want to act like they're all hard, act like they're all hood and shit like that's what it is. The problem is when you do the Glock switch thing like that, dude, you have no ability to really control the fire rate of that gun. So instead of it just being a semi-automatic where it's like bang, 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 and being able to actually control, where your bullets are going to fly at, and whether that be against a rival banger or whatever the case be, no, you're going to put the stupid ass little switch on the back of it, and you're going to go click, and it's going to be like, and like sprayed everywhere is what it is then. And then you wonder why you have, kids 3-4 blocks away sleeping in their beds. All of a sudden, a stray bullet comes flying through their fucking wall or window, whatever it is there, and shoots them in the fucking head. Or you have some little girl who's just minding her own fucking business, doing homework that night in her bed, and then boom, she's fucking dead 10 minutes later because a random stray bullet went flying through her chest and shit like that. Which I've heard story after story of that kind of stuff, dude. And it's just disgusting and sad, honestly, at the same time. Because it didn't need to be. And that's the problem with these fucking pieces of shit, dude. And they're never held to account, is what it is, man. Because unfortunately, you can never, like in many cases, you can never actually link those bullets back to the gun that they were fired from. Unless, of course, they'd be able to get, like, you know, fingerprints off the actual bullet itself somehow, which, you know, unless you're putting, like, your thumbprint or something like that on it, your thumbprint is in the system from being a, you know, convicted criminal and stuff like that. Again, they're not going to find you is what it is then. So, yeah, it's just sad. It's just sad, man. And again, it's another life lost that didn't need to be is what it is there. And then, of course, you got lying pricks like Martin Heinrich, the guy who is the second douchebag with Angus King that's behind that that go safe crap is what it is. Writing some stupid-ass opinion piece the other day where he straight up was lying to people is what it was. Let me see if I can go find it here real quick. All right, here we go. So this is a Newsweek article last night where this asshole was straight up lying to everybody, falsely claiming a new pragmatic approach to address gun violence in America and save lives, opinion piece by Martin Heinrich, where he falsely claimed there have been more mass shootings in the U.S. than days in 2023. That's absolutely lies, dude. 100% a fucking lie. What you're talking about, asshole, is you're talking about your BS gun violence archive bullcrap that never accounts for the fact that what you're talking about in many cases is actual gang violence, is actual gangbangers doing drive-bys and shit like that is what it is. And then, of course, it's the same pieces of shit like you and Mom's Main Action will sit there and be like, oh, but there's more children killed by guns every year. Yet, meanwhile, when you're talking about children, you're adding in 18, 19, and 20-year-old adults that can have voting rights in this country and calling them as children when they're not. And then even going with the 16 and 17-year-olds in many of those cases, it's all gangbanger hood kids is what it is there, dude. That are pulling guns on each other and shooting each other in record numbers is what it is there. So, yeah, when you take out all that shit, your fucking so-called gun violence crap goes out the window real quick, is what it is. Your mass shooting crap goes out the window real fucking quick is what it is then. And it's not a bunch of kids killing each other. It's a bunch of violent-ass criminal teens is what it is, and 20-somethings then. So, anyway, yeah, it's just a bunch of lies, dude, is what it is. And then, meanwhile, on the flip side of things, you got good old Dick Durbin straight up committing high treason yesterday and admitting that he and the Democrat Party are openly committing high treason right now because, and I quote from this, Dick Durbin, senator, is finally revealing their grand plan: flood the country with illegal aliens, enlist them into the U.S. military, and make them citizens. The party he isn't disclosing is who the Marxists will use the alien soldiers against. It's going to be us, by the way. This is what they're doing. I've said it before, dude. This is what I was talking about. My cousin was talking to me about this actually months ago. And he was talking about like UN shock troops is what it was. Now you'd have a bunch of like illegals coming into our country under like some UN umbrellas, would it be then? And working for the UN as like a soldier capacity kind of thing is what it is there to do door-to-door confiscation. And, you know, that's not going to fucking fly, bro. It's just not. And if you think that's not going to create a mix between a civil war and a revolution in this country, you're fucking kidding yourself right now. That's 100% going to happen. And like I've said many, many times on this channel, you want to see 50 to 100 Wacos happen in the one day within a couple hours time span of each other then? Try that shit, dude, and see what fucking happens, because I guarantee it will. You're going to have a lot of dead illegals in this country, dude, under the false claim of military service and stuff like that. And you're going to have probably quite a few dead patriots for that matter, too, dude. It's going to be the whole, you know, tree of liberty that will be refilled from time to time with the blood of tyrants and patriots kind of thing is what it is there. And by the way, everybody always forgets that second part of it. They're always talking about tyrants. They never actually mention the whole thing about patriots as well, for that matter. And yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of people refilling that tree with their own blood at this point, dude, on both sides of the aisle very soon. But yeah, let's listen to what Dickhead Durbin had to say. Here's what it is.
What troubles me about the debate now with the southern border is it is one half of the immigration equation. Yes, we need order at the border. Yes, we need to have changes in the laws that reflect the reality of the overwhelming numbers from all over the world who are coming to our shores and our border. But there's also an incredible demand for legal immigration into this country even now.
Okay, I'm going to stop him right there, honestly. No, there's not actually, asshole. There's not fucking great demand for legal immigration in this country. What there is you assholes trying to flood this nation with your bullshit new voter base is what it is in many cases, douchebag. And we wouldn't need to have legal immigration to America if pieces of shit like you, Dick Durbin, hadn't been killing the next generation of children into this nation for the past fucking 50-something years now with Roe versus Wade. So yeah, fuck you, dude.
Presiding officer, my colleague from the state of Illinois, has legislation which addresses one aspect of that. Her bill, and I hope I describe it accurately, says that if you're an undocumented person in this country,
little alien,
and you can pass the physical and the required test, background test, the like, you can serve in our military, and if you do it honorably,
Christ,
we will
dude.
make you citizens of the United States.
Fuck that.
Do we need that?
No, we don't, asshole.
You know what the recruiting numbers are at the Army and the Navy and the Air Force? They can't reach their quotas each month. They can't find enough people to join our military forces. And there are those who are undocumented who want the chance
illegal
to serve and risk their lives for this country. Should we give them a chance?
No, we shouldn't. Fuck that.
We should. Let me tell you about
fucking traitor. My God, dude. Like, what a fucking clown ass bitch, man. Like, that's the kind of shit I'm talking about right there, dude. Oh, we can't meet our quotas for military service. Oh, gee, I wonder why. Maybe because you woke the fucking shit up is what it was, dude? Because you've allowed for fucking transgenderist crap to happen in these whole things now? Because you literally allow people to go into the military right now whose entire thing is, oh, I can go get a trans surgery now for fucking free on the taxpayer dime, and I can never actually have to serve in the fucking front lines because of that? Okay, cool. I'm going to go in there and literally day number 1, go apply for some bullshit, and then I'm out for fucking 8 months, 10 months, 12 months, whatever the hell it is, recover fucking some bullshit surgery that they should have never been allowed to get on taxpayer money, by the way. And they're not even doing their job as a military person is what it is then. Or you have all these people that are like so-called drag queens and stuff like that are like pushing the drag queen shit in there, dude. And it's like, Jesus fucking Christ, man. Not too much. What's even more fucked up to me, honestly, and this is what I think is funny about what Durbin said there, honestly, is he's like, we can't find the numbers, can't go to quotas, whatever the case be there. It's like, yeah, and meanwhile, how many people did you openly take away their ability to be in military service because they refuse to get your death jabs? Like, seriously, bro. You had so many people discharged from the military in the past couple of years because they refused to take the vaccine is what it was. And it's like, yeah, it makes sense then why your numbers are shit, dude. When you're literally forcing that crap on everybody is what it is, man. And then, of course, you had that guy most recently that was talking about leaving over some stuff is what it was. And then them having the audacity to try to charge him like $4,000 for shit that he was told to leave over in the Afghanistan withdrawal in 2021. And again, you wonder why this fucking thing is bullshit, dude. Like, honestly, Durbin just needs to be brought up on charges at this point, dude. Speaking of people that need brought up on charges, by the way, you have this bullshit right here from Libs of TikTok about half a day or so ago, where it was this scumbag-ass woman indoctrinator, one of these leftist commie pedos is what it is there, who had the audacity to claim, so the teacher who creates social justice curriculum says parents' rights are dangerous, wants teachers to keep critical information a secret from parents. Dude, this is exactly the kind of pieces of shit right here that need to not only be blackballed from the education system entirely, they need to be brought up on criminal charges of child abuse right now across the board. Because these are the fucking assholes who are getting into the teaching industry, into public education, to indoctrinate your children, my children, etc., into this fucked up ass woke garbage, having these kids be so gender confused by the time that they're like 10, 15 years old that they're literally chopping pieces of themselves off to become the other sex, regretting it like crazy a couple of years later when they finally wake up to the fact they've been fucking hoodwinked, and then having no real recourse against these people because, again, you actually can't go back, dude. You can never go back. Like, once you take something away, you can never bring it back. You know, once you sterilize yourself with various hormone drugs, you can never have kids, man. And that's exactly what the endgame is in many cases. It's literally it's literally generation sterilization is what it is right now. So, anyway, it's just disgusting and sick, honestly. I think we are going to watch a little bit. We might watch actually this entire minute or so clip here is what it is, because I do want to discuss this. I never actually watched the entire clip is what it is right now. I think I watched it for a couple seconds. That was what it was then. So let's see what this dumb bitch actually does have to say. Here's what it is.
Do you know if there are any bills or school board candidates in your area that are focused on parents' rights and education? If so,
okay.
Do you know if there are any bills or school board candidates in your area that are focused on parents' rights and education? If so, there's a good chance they might be putting trans and LGBTQ plus youth in danger.
Okay, so first of all, there is no such thing as trans and so-called LGBTQ plus youth, you stupid bitch. What there is a bunch of gender-confused kids that piece of shit fucking child molesters like you, lady, are fucking pushing out there in society. Because you want to fuck these kids because you're a piece of crap, woman. It's fucking disgusting, dude.
Those people advocating for these so-called parents' rights are advocating to out LGBTQ plus students to their families.
No, what they're actually advocating for is to make sure that sick-ass indoctrinating pieces of shit like you, woman, don't have the ability to fucking gender-confused children and fuck them up permanently, psychologically and mentally and physically, for that matter.
And if they are rejected by their parents because of their identity, they're 8 times more likely to attempt to end their own life. So they're at risk for something.
Okay, so she's bitching. She's falsely claiming that they're not outing themselves because they would basically kill themselves. Is what it would be then, or 8 times more likely to kill themselves, or whatever the case be. It's like, yeah, and you wonder again. You wonder why these rates of these fucking things spike like crazy, and then you realize it's because pieces of shit like you, woman, are pushing this stuff on straight kids who are now so gender confused that they isolate themselves into a corner there, and they think the only option is suicide then. And that's the thing. And these people want to bitch about like this whole thing of like, oh my god, there's such a fucking. It's like I forget what they're saying now. It's like something about like they're trying to destroy us or something like that is what it is there. And it's like, no, you're destroying yourselves, dude, legitimately. And again, it's the chemical imbalances in many cases in these people's heads is what it is, man. To where they're put on some kind of crazy ass medication, some hormone drug, whatever it is there, that is imbalancing them like fucking crazy, while they should be going through an actual puberty. And so you have a mix between like the actual puberty coming through to some extent, and then you have the hormone drugs trying to suppress that shit, and then it's basically like this whole like flux of fucking emotions. That's what it is, dude. And then you wonder why these kids' fucking suicide rates spike like crazy, and that's exactly what it is at the end of the day, honestly. Yeah, I'm not even gonna listen to this bullshit. Yeah, I can't stand this bitch's fucking voice, man. Plus, she's like way fucking monotone, is what it is. What a piece of garbage, dude. Let's see what some of the people are saying in the comment section. Here's what it is for this video. Let's see. This person said, if you believe parents' rights are dangerous, you are a predator. Exactly, dude. And that's exactly what it is at the end of the day. And like I said, this is why I have no problem calling these people pedophile indoctrinators, dude, because it's what they are at the end of the day. You know, you look into what indoctrination is it's them pushing their ideology on children is what it is, dude. And I would not be the least bit surprised if this stupid bitch right here identified as like fucking gay or queer or non-binary or something like that, dude, is what it is. Like, even just looking at her eyes, like, look, that's the thing too, by the way. When you start looking at the eyes, you can actually tell like the psychotic insanity with these people's issues is what it is there, dude. Because you look like, that's the thing, right? People have talked about it over the generations and stuff like that about, you know, the eyes being window to the soul is what it is. And you can tell like this woman's eyes are just dead, man. Legitimately. So Yeah, let's go. But look at some of these other comments here. This guy said, Maoism separate children from parents. Parents will correct behaviors and misbeliefs. This is counterproductive when you're trying to indoctrinate a generation. Exactly. So the person said that woman should be removed from teaching immediately. No one should be questioning parents' rights over their own children. Exactly, dude. Let's see. Slibbercat TM person said, they are not your children, lady. You have no right to dictate or decide anything for these kids. Just the parents. This should be illegal. And like I said, dude, this is the problem with general assemblies right now across this country. This is what I actually called my state rep yesterday and called him out on that one and was like, you need to introduce legislation on this stuff, dude. And it was basically, people always want Ohio to be the forefront on something is what it is, dude. And it's like, we need to be the forefront on protecting kids in this country. And if that means that you find some of these pedophile indoctrinators in the Ohio general, inside of the Ohio education system, K-12 schools and stuff like that, you outlaw them, you blackball them from the education system entirely, and then you charge them criminally with fucking child abuse, dude, both mental and physical. And that's how you end this shit once and for all. That's how you win the fucking culture war legitimately, dude. You take out the garbage-ass piece of shit predators in our systems, in our school systems, etc. there, and you deal with these fuckers accordingly as the piece of shit child abusers they actually are is what it is. And if people have a problem with that, they can go fuck themselves, dude. So, anyway. Let's see, this person went by Old School Eddie said, this is a prime example of why parents need to homeschool nowadays. We need to keep our children away from these clowns like this bitch here is what it is. And somebody else said, so basically we should trust a stranger more over than a parent. This is a no from me. Let's see, somebody else said, and this commercial was brought to you by homeschooling. Yeah, exactly. Let's see, somebody else said, support parental rights and keep your children away from these groomers. Then it was, I'm old enough to remember when sexual predators weren't allowed within 1,000 feet of a school. Now Democrats have them in their public schools grooming children, exactly. And that's what I said before, dude. And what's interesting, actually, is they were talking about the 1,000 feet rule. There's what it is. I actually said something similar to that when I was talking to my, leaving the message on my state rep's office yesterday is what it was. Is, yeah, you should be literally not only, charging these people with this child abuse and stuff like that, they ever get back out of prison after that. They should not be within 1,000 feet of a child is what it is at all, dude, ever again. Because that way you could actually deal with the shit legitimately. And that's the problem right now is we're not doing this stuff the right way is what it is, man. Anyway, we're going to read a couple more of these responses and then we're going to call it a day here in the next probably 5 minutes or so. So you got this chick named Molly saying about that woman. She said it's because she's a predator. Said teachers who don't want parents to know what they are teaching students shouldn't be teaching students. There is no good reason for secrecy in education. Exactly. Let's see. We got Right Angle News Network saying no teacher has the right to keep information about their child from parents. Absolutely no right. On a sensitive matter like this woman has zero right to withhold information about a minor. This woman has no business being around children, and you wonder why homeschooling is the only option nowadays because these so-called teachers can't be trusted. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the problem. Even calling pieces of shit like this a teacher, man, she's not. She is a legitimate pedophile indoctrinator, dude, because she is trying to indoctrinate children to molest them later on. And if she's not going to molest them herself, she is trying to indoctrinate them for others to molest them later on. Because she's trying to gender confuse them to such a point where they're like, oh, okay, let me just walk down this fucking room, walk into this back room with you. Yeah, fuck that. No. It's disgusting, dude, entirely. Yeah, and somebody else's majority of teachers are paid groomers. I would agree with that statement. Let's see, this person said, thanks for the reminder of why you don't send your kids to public school. So the person said, I teach my children to tell me immediately if someone tells them to keep a secret, or if they say the words, don't tell your parents, that's a red flag, and get away and out of that situation immediately. And then somebody else said, people like that chick that use stats like that are always lying. Yeah, they are, dude. That's the whole point. They're again, they're trying to push their own agenda is what it is. And when you're pushing an agenda, specifically an agenda to turn straight kids, gay, trans, etc., it makes perfect logical sense to, make a bunch of bullshit up is what it is there. Or in some cases, it is legit facts or whatever the case be, but it's like, yeah, you're pushing that agenda to be like, oh, but these kids are so unsafe and everything. No, they're not, dude. No, they're not. What they are is they are unsafe from pieces of shit like you who are trying to groom them for your own sick, disgusting ends is what it is. And then people wonder why over a year and a half later, I'm still pissed off about the whole fallout that happened last year between myself, Guns and Barbecue, PNW Woods, etc. there. And it's because this is the exact thing I was trying to talk about that day, dude. Was I am against all of this shit because I have a fucking stake in the ground on this. I have an almost 9-year-old niece that is going to these public education schools who has the shit being pushed on her every day of her life, dude, is what it is. I have a 17-year-old nephew now is what it is. I was trying to remember exactly how old he was because he said birthday is what it was there. But yeah, 17-year-old nephew now who's had that shit pushed on his ass for years now of his life. And it's just ridiculous, dude. Like, enough is enough of it, honestly. It fucking disgusts me. And it should disgust everybody out there, dude. I don't care if you're a parent or not. If you're a parent, if you're a guardian, if you're a fucking... even an aunt or an uncle, for God's sakes, or a grandmother or grandfather. It should piss you off, and it should be, like I said, you should be up in arms and trying to blackball these sick fuckers from the educational system entirely is what it is, dude. Let's see, you have this person say, absolutely predatory behavior on that woman's part. Parents, beware of progressive Democrats being in charge of your kids' schools and institutions. Exactly. Somebody else said that woman is basically saying, shut up, parents, we're going after your kids. Exactly. And then somebody else said, this isn't what school is about. That's the problem again. And like I said before in this whole thing, like going back to the whole, reading, writing, arithmetic and stuff like that, you have people who should be doing their jobs that way who are refusing to actually do their fucking jobs is what it is now. And then you wonder why you have pieces of shit who are being able to take over these school systems and fuck with our schools is what it is, dude. Dumbing down these kids, making them so susceptible to all kinds of sick, disgusting behavior like that. And then you wonder exactly why we have seen this go on again and again and again right now. Sorry, had to go do something right now. But yeah, and that's the problem right now. You have these individuals who have no business being around children now being around children. And it's just absolutely disgusting, dude, what it is. So, anyway. Let's see. So the person said, if I said it once, I'll say it again. Homeschooling is the best option. Yeah, exactly. Somebody else said homeschooling for kids. Somebody else said that woman needs to be fired. And then somebody else claimed the suicide lie again. I don't know about that one, honestly. I'm not sure that's a lie per se, but again, there is definitely like that increase is what it is, man. When you have kids who are being isolated like fucking crazy, to then push them into that situation where they, taking their own lives is the only option is what it is there, which is never that option, by the way. That's never an option, never should be an option. Let's see. Then we got a person saying parents let this happen by abandoning their kids, PTAs, and treating schools as daycare. That's again another problem too, by the way, the whole PTA, the Parent Teacher Association thing like that, or even like school boards for that matter as well, is, and I've said this for many years, honestly, even before I really started to be political on this channel is what it is. You have people who are in school boards who, A, don't actually have kids in these schools, B, aren't parents, guardians, grandparents, aunts, uncles, etc., of any kid in that school, and C, are just some sick groomer piece of shit, or some fucked up Democrat that's all fucked in the head or whatever the case be, some SJW, social justice warrior person is what it is there, who just wants to use that school board as a way to further their political career down the line. So they start out, and this is what Michael Bloomberg loves to do, by the way, with his mom's main action type. Is what it is, dude. He'll take some MDA cunts, or whatever the case be, pay a bunch of money to get him into school board races, get him into a school board, have him in that school board for a couple years, and then proceed to rank them up in political races. Is what it is then, where you go from school board to maybe a state rep or something, or a city council person or whatever it is there, maybe a mayor in a major city, whatever it is there. And then from there, it's usually like a general assembly, like a state rep, state senator, whatever the case be. And then it's eventually, Secretary of State run, AG run, governor run, U.S. Congress run, U.S. Senate run, etc. And it's like this weird stage building is what he's trying to do right there, where he is actively paying millions of dollars out of his own pocket, of his billions of dollars is what it is that he's stolen from the American people through bullshit in short selling of stock and stuff like that's what it is. For those who don't know, that's what Michael Bloomberg has basically done to make his billions over the years, is he's committed illegal short selling of stock, which in of itself should be multiple felonies for that matter, every single time you're doing it. And has found like this weird legal loophole to do that kind of crap is what it is, because it's not technically illegal to short sell stock, even though it should be, is what it is. Because because technically speaking, you're inflating something like 10 times its value or whatever the case be. And in any other capacity, if you were doing that kind of shit, dude, you'd go to jail for various crimes, for manipulating markets, etc. is what it is there. So I don't understand how the same thing is happening to Bloomberg and company like that is what it is then. Although I guess I do, because technically, again, like I said before in the last couple grandstands here in the last day or so is what it is. You have had so many of these 3 to 4 tier justice system things happen nowadays where it's literally, as long as you're rich and famous or you have Democrat next to your name, you get a slap on the wrist. And if you're on the opposite side of the political aisle, or even like, right of center, basically, you're fucked. Hell, even if you're right of the left at that point, dude, where it's like you're not even the fucking right wing or whatever, but you're like just a centrist and shit, they'll fuck you that way too, is what it is, man. And yeah, you'll get 10, 20 years in prison just for fucking standing at a fucking staircase, basically, that's like looking into the U.S. Capitol or something like that, dude, is what it is. Or you won't even be there, and you'll get charged with seditious conspiracy and get like 22 years or so, is what it is. That's what Enrique Torre got, if I'm not mistaken. He wasn't even there that fucking day as well, for that matter. And they're trying to charge him with all kind of conspiracy bullshit, and it's like, god damn, dude. Like, what the fuck happened to this country, man? Seriously. Like, it just blows me away sometimes, dude, like what we've allowed to come about in our nation right now in the year 2023. And that's what I say. I think we're definitely becoming closer and closer to a fall at this point, especially with the shit Dick Durbin was pushing there, is what it is. And, and that's the thing with Dick Durbin, by the way. That guy's a sly motherfucker. Because he basically pushes some crap forward, and then he's like, oh, see, we could totally have our recruitment up and stuff like that. We just have to make sure the illegals can come in here and do stuff now. No, you can go fuck off, you old piece of shit pedophile. And then you wonder why pedophile Democrats like him are not allowing the Epstein flight logs to be brought forth. And then you realize it's because they're child molesters, dude. That's exactly what it is at the end of the day. They are the pieces of shit that are on those fucking flight logs, is what it is, dude. They are the criminal predators on the fucking flight logs. So, anyway. That's about it for today. I'll be back at some point here. Like I said, probably Wednesday most likely is what it'll be. And I'll be discussing a few various things here and there and going over some stuff is what it is. We'll do a grandstand Wednesday afternoon, most likely will be about what's going on in Ohio later today and then through tomorrow and stuff like that. And then we'll be back again Thursday for Buckshot Thursday for our regular scheduled programming. Then if that be the case, we'll do an actual discussion this time around about the Eli Dickin self-defense shooting is what it is there. And being able to, take out a actual fucking mass shooter that day that Eli did about a year and a half ago, give or take. So, anyway, but other than that, that's pretty much where we're at for the day. Like I said, at this point in history, there's no real reason to debate leftists at all anymore. because they don't bring anything to the table is what it is, man. They suck at debating. They suck at life. They can't fucking do shit, basically. They have nothing that is any substantial value that brings to the table is what it is. And when it's all said and done, they're just not good at anything, dude. So there's literally no reason to even deal with their crap is what it is. And yeah, there is absolutely zero reason at all to ever have an interaction with these people is what it is at the end of the day. So if that means creating echo chambers in this country, that's what it means, honestly, dude. Because, again, absolutely zero reason to interact with these fucking idiots is what it is, man. So, anyway. But, yeah, other than that, I think we're definitely in for a rough ride here in 2024. And like I said, whether that leads to revolution, civil war, tribal warfare, whatever the case be, I think we're definitely to a point where it's going to be that thing. And I think we're definitely heading towards bad times ahead. Actually, I'm gonna finish off with this one. Actually, this guy put here is what it is. This sounds pretty interesting here. So you got this Kurt guy saying, "Get your children out of government public schools immediately. If you don't, you risk losing your children to abusers of every possible kind, leftists and groomers. Private school them, be very picky, or homeschool them. Support paying for students, not the system." And then it says per student cost, public and private education. Says study found that currently, as of 2018, a public school education in the United States costs 89% more than private education. That's fucking insane, by the way. Says that is $14,653 for the public school and $7,736 for a private education. And that was according to the American Institute for Economic Research. So, yeah, interesting, dude. I'm not surprised by that. I remember there was I remember actually hearing one recently. It was here about, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago now, where it was them talking about, I'm trying to remember what it was now. It was some school district, and I forget what state it was. People were bitching about it because it had a bunch of computers and like all kinds of like real expensive shit is what it was there. And it happened to be like this white school. And then you had these there was a lot of minority kids that were bitching and moaning about the stuff is what it was. Because their school that had either the exact same amount of money or more money didn't have any of that stuff. And then you realized when you started looking at stuff over the whole thing, it was because their school district that they lived in had to put in metal detectors and a bunch of other stupid shit because you had a bunch of kids that were trying to bring guns to the school that were a bunch of little gangbanging sacks of shit is what it was. And then people wondered, like, oh, well, why the hell aren't we getting the fucking cool laptops and having a nice place and stuff like that? And it's like, gee, I wonder. Maybe because you're actively supporting your own demises in many cases. Maybe because you're actively allowing yourselves to be led astray and have people basically push their own crap on you and push their own, unsafe environments on you is what it is. And then you wonder why you're not in a fucking good place is what it is, dude. And it's like, yeah, it's not that hard to figure out, bro. Like, it really isn't, honestly. And what's sad is you have these, again, it's people that don't understand their own ends is what it is, man. They don't understand their own mentality in many cases is what it is there. And then you wonder, why when they're not grasping reality, like, how the hell you're going to fix that? And again, you can't fix fucking stupid is what it is, man. You just can't. You just have to let it fix itself by either breeding itself out of the gene pool entirely or, something else for that matter, or similar situations then. So, anyway. But, yeah, that's pretty much where we're at for today. Like I said, I'll be back here in a couple of days with some stuff, and we'll discuss a few things about different shit is what it is there. Sorry, I was trying to figure something out. Here's what it is. But yeah, it's interesting though when you look at it, man. It's like, again, these people are just not self-aware is what it is. They have no clue what the hell they're talking about, and then it just goes to the whole thing is what it is there. I do agree with what this other person said in the comment section there. So the 10 school board meetings to stop it for now. Then we need state and local laws to prevent this stuff from happening in the future. Yeah, exactly. And as this Kim person here said, like it or not, professions that have high engagement with children, teaching, coaching, Sunday school, coordinators, etc., also attract the highest number of adults who are likely to harm kids, mostly because these adults were abused when they were children, and most likely... Okay, let me go ahead and... I'm going to pull this up actually as a screen share because there's a lot more to this then. Okay, so they said... There we go. Yeah, highest number of kids because they're most likely harmed as children, mostly because these adults were abused as children themselves, and most likely by a close family member. Suppose, and then they put 1 in 4 to 1 in 6. I'm guessing that would be the rates of people abusing them or whatever the case be. So this is fixable, solvable. We can and should start to aggressively solve for child abuse now. But we need to be patient to see returns on that investment, which will likely take 30 years or so. So this particular teacher, meaning that redheaded woman there, should be fired immediately, and that's where we run into the, quote, union problem. There's a separate conversation, but that one that RFK is going to have to answer for in order to get more votes. So I think what they mean by union problem is what you'll have these piece of shit unions, these teachers unions, what it is there, that basically protect these pieces of shit is what it is, dude. It's the same exact thing when people talk about, the Catholic Church and, the shit around pedophiles is what it is. And that's the thing they have over the years, obviously. And that's a problem as well in that one, dude. Because you're actively allowing one predator to move from one place to another place to just molest again is what it is then. And the problem with that entirely is you have just these sick fucking people across the board right now who don't give two shits about what's really happening in our school systems or actively involved and engaged in this shit is what it is. And it's just disgusting entirely, dude. And then people wonder, like, why I'm so up in arms about this stuff. Because, again, I have seen this shit happen time and fucking again, dude. And I'm not going to have it happen to my fucking family is what it is. Ever. Because I will go scorched earth on that fucking shit if it ever does, dude. So, anyway. But yeah, that's about where we're at for today is what it is, though. But as I said before, and I'll say it again, I think we just need to ban teachers' unions in this country entirely. And if we actually ban the teachers' unions, you would have a much better country overall right now because it would stop allowing these piece of shit Democrat assholes that are behind the teachers' unions to actually be able to protect these sick fuckers in schools. And you could actually have a better country overall then of people who actually give a crap about our society. And we would actually have a high trust society again, potentially. Because right now, and I know, I believe it was Vandrick that said it recently, actually, where he was mentioning about vetting teachers is what it was there, or vetting people that will be potentially teachers, what it is. And he's right about that one, honestly, is we should have that as an actual standard bearer right now, dude. It's like, yeah, if you're going to get in the teaching industry, teaching profession, whatever you call it there, you should be scrutinized like a motherfucker. There should be a standardized test of like various psychological shit you have to take. And if you can't pass that psych test, man, you can't fucking be in education around children, dude, is what it is. And it's as simple as that, really. And that would be a way to, one way to root these fuckers out is what it is, dude, very quickly. Because that's the thing. Most of these people entirely, dude, can't pass psych evals at all. Like, they would just show their insanity almost immediately is what it is. And they could be outed very quickly then and be dealt with accordingly if that be the case then. So, yeah, I think that's definitely what we need to do right now across the board and just start allowing for a better environment of people being able to do what needs to be done then is what it is. So, anyway, but yeah, that's pretty much where we're at for the day, though. And like I said, I'll be back here in probably about a day and a half, give or take, to discuss a few things here and there. And from there, we'll be doing a bunch of different stuff and dealing with a bunch of different things is what it is then. But other than that, that's where we're at for the day. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I know I did. And now, like I said, I'll be back for another Stand Your Ground on Wednesday. We'll be doing Honda's chat tomorrow night with him and the boys. And doing a few other things here and there is what it is. And then we'll have, obviously, Thursday is Buckshot Thursday. Friday will be Freedom Friday. And most likely we'll be doing some kind of Stand Your Ground Saturday. Although it might be something where if I'm going to do that from now on, it might not be in the nighttime. It might be like during the day is what it is then. And we have just like an interesting little deal happening then if that be the case then. So anyway, other than that though, that's pretty much where I'm at for the day. That's what it is. So yeah. My best advice to everybody out there, dude, is if you're a parent out here, get involved in your children's education at this point. Do not allow pedophile indoctrination into your school system. If they're already there, make sure to get them fucking out. Work with legislators in general assemblies to literally introduce legislation to charge these people criminally and force them out of education with entire blackballing and make sure to take back the fucking schools. And if that means suing the hell out of the school districts and taking the fucking schools in the lawsuits, that's what we need to be doing at this point, honestly. And it's as simple as that, really. Have a good one, y'all. Later.